What's up, everybody? The Amazing here, bringing another review. This time is of the SH Figuarts Iron Man Mark 6 Renewal with the Hall of Armor set. Let's get started. First and foremost, I want to start by saying is that when you get an Iron Man, you kind of know what you're expecting, but we're going to dig into details, go over the good, the bad, the ugly, right? Let's get started. First and foremost, this figure is actually taller than the former release, so that's already a plus there. I know tons of people complain about their Iron Man not being able to meet and match up with Marvel Legends. So they aimed for a step in the right direction and made it a tiny bit taller, enough that you would notice it, compared to most Marvel Legends and SHF. So the first thing I'm going to do with you guys is I'm going to compare it to the 1.0, because it's the first thing people want to see and know and do. So on the left, we have the first one. 2.0 is here on the right. As you can see, the paints are a bit different. The molding's a bit different. The armor actually looks a little different. It's similar enough, but still different enough as well. This one on the right has a richer, darker red. Meanwhile, the first one was a brighter, more vivid red. Now the other thing, actually, let me just turn this away for a second. There we go. Now, well, the one thing I've noticed is that they took to a more modular and bulkier design as opposed to the first one. Proportion-wise, is a bit different. They also added the pushing technology from the Mark 46 and the Mark 45, where you pull out the arms to help increase your range of articulation. Especially because on the Mark 6, the verniers are at the top, and I'll get into that in a second. But as far as articulation, they actually improved on it a bit in the sense of you can actually do high kicks. No rotation is actually bothered. Now, the one thing that I'm worried about, and there was a huge problem in the first one, is that over time, the first one, the kneecaps had an issue where they would literally dissolve and break. And since this looked like it's made from the same mold as the first one, that's something I'm really, really bothering to worry about. So I'm hoping that Bandai actually took the time to look into it and fix that. I know it was a problem before. I hope it isn't now. Still has toe pivot and die-cast feet, and is still hindered a little bit by the Mark 6 armor's design for the feet, so you don't get the full articulation, but you actually do get a ton more than the first release. So that's actually really good, because this actually is a great amount of rotation on the ankle pivot that's hindered. Now, as far as arms, I'm a little disappointed because I really wanted these gauntlets here to be a part of all the hands. And this is something they've done where it just, they kind of revert and go backwards now and then. I don't know what that's about, but I'm a little bothered. The Mark 46 actually had it on all the hands. And this one, you have to go back to swapping it. So that's a bit of a bummer. Now, as far as the part swapping goes, backwards wise, what you do is it has option parts for the verniers, just like the former Mark 6, where you can just add them on the top of the shoulders. And let me see if mine will stick. There we go. So in flight, you'll actually see these come up. So I'm going to show you it. The one on the left is actually up. This one is the part swap with it down. It's still a nice addition. I applaud the fact that they tried to aim for some consistency there. Oop, wrong one. Let's aim this back on. There we go. The same thing for the legs. You actually can pop it out. Hopefully, because I don't have any nails. Let me see if I can actually use an effect part to do so. So bear with me, guys. There we go. So what happens is you can actually pop and swap these out. And just like for the flight pose for the shoulders, you have an option part for open verniers on the backhand side. One on the right is closed, one on the left is open. They actually added the little detail design. The detail design in there as well for the micro missiles. Let's see if there we go. It's actually pretty dope. So I'm going to add this back in. Now that we've gone over pretty much the articulation of things, how they rotate, just in case you guys haven't seen it. Can it do a split? You know, all the good stuff that you think about and want to see, right? So let's go back. Now for the Hall of Armor set. Now the Hall of Armor, this is something that people have asked for and wanted for a long time. There we go. So the reason why I'm turning on my lights is because I'm going to show you guys something. Now, the Hall of Armor set is actually really, really nice, because if you wanted an Iron Man or you wanted to get an Iron Man, you've always wanted a Hall of Armor. So now you want to pretty much army build these things. Now, the one main thing that goes with this really well, and the fact that I really enjoyed, is that On the backhand side, after you put in 3 AAA batteries, they go in here. You can turn this on. It actually lights up pretty well. Not enough to be like, oh, it's a Hall of Armor, but in a dimly lit setting where you aim for pretty much a Hall of Armor piece, you get exactly what you're aiming for. You see, it sits under well lit, and it shows you that it lights up from the sides and from above. It has some light filtering through the vents here, so you can see just enough. Also on the top of the top on both sides, it gives you the parts that you need for part swapping to make them connect if you buy more. So that's really dope. So although it's not brightly lit, it is lit enough to show under dim lighting how well it is done. And I like that. I like that they aim for emotion when they aim for lighting of the Hall of Armor, things like that. I like it. If you're gonna army build them, I definitely advise that you do so soon. It's a web shop in Japan, but it is gonna normal release with most of the armors here in the US. I know they're doing it for the 6, the Mark II, and probably for the Mark V when it gets announced later. I know there were scans of it around. Now what's really cool is that even if you have the first War Machine, he actually sits in a great height with the first Iron Man. So he's still taller, still looks cool, and fits in well. So that's really good that the War Machine fits in really well. So you don't have to worry about buying a new one or a 2.0. Then as far as Marvel Legends guys, he's a little bit smaller, but still he's in a better fit now. What else do I have around that I can compare it to? Oh, yeah, Spider-Man. So Spider-Man, they're around the same height. And I know they probably shouldn't, not with him in his armor, but still pretty good. Now, as far as effect parts go, you get the same staple effects. You get the repulsor blast. Actually, those are the flight. Oh, no, these ones are the flight ones. Sorry. The flight ones for the hands as well. And you get the foot thrusters. Hands, you actually get the same amount as you always get. You get the repulsor blast hands for effects. Oop. And I've dropped that, so don't, kill me. You get the repulsor blast hand effects. Same as always. You actually get flight hands or karate chopping hands, whichever one you want to call them. I like to call them karate chop hands. And you actually get open palms, as well as the fist you see here. So although you get a great amount of things that come with the Iron Man, it's pretty much all the same stuff you expect to get from Iron Man at this point. I'm just let down mostly by the fact that they still didn't do the gauntlets on each hand. Overall, it's the same sturdy and valuable Iron Man you get across the board. You get a great Hall of Armor, so now you can start army building that. So you can do your Hall of Armor scenes, especially now that they're pretty much pumping out armors 3-4 times a year for us. You know what you're expecting, you know what you're getting. At this point, you know what to enjoy. If you enjoy certain armors, you know what to get. If you want a renewal or you missed out on the Mark VI, this is also a great addition to your collection. In the meantime, guys, I hope you've enjoyed. Hope I've answered most questions, and I hope you're drinking your water. Be good, stay safe. Later.